I am standing in the center of my father's massive boardroom. The air here is always cold, smelling of expensive leather and old mahogany. Across the long, polished table sits Richard Hayes, my father. He is a man who measures success in decimal points and stock prices. He is currently looking at a folder I spent 6 months preparing. It contains my heart, my soul, and a business plan for a tech infrastructure platform that could change the industry. My hands are folded neatly in front of me, though my heart is hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. I've worked 3 jobs to fund the prototype. I've slept 4 hours a night. This is the moment I finally show him I am more than just his quiet daughter. He doesn't even finish the last page. He closes the folder with a sharp, final snap that echoes in the silent room. He slides it back toward me like it is a piece of trash. Lillian, I've reviewed your proposal. You're not worth investing in, he says. His voice is calm, which makes it hurt 10 times more. He doesn't look angry, he looks bored. Be realistic, he continues. Some people are built for leadership and big ideas. Others are built to observe from the sidelines. You are an observer, Lillian. Take a desk job in the filing department and be happy. I feel a lump forming in my throat, hot and tight. A few of his executives look down at their shoes, embarrassed for me. I don't say a word. I just pick up my folder and walk out, because he has no idea that the platform he just rejected is already live, and his own company is secretly trying to buy access to it. That night, dinner at the Hayes mansion feels like a victory parade for someone else. My brother, Brandon, is sitting at the head of the table next to my father. He is grinning from ear to ear because he closed a small real estate deal today. It wasn't even a complex deal, but you would think he had conquered a small country based on my father's reaction. Now that is what I call potential, my father beams, patting Brandon on the back. A true Hayes. You have that killer instinct, son. You see an opening and you take it. I sit quietly in my usual spot, my plate of salmon untouched. The silver fork feels heavy in my hand. I am invisible here, a ghost at the feast. Brandon looks over at me and smirks. He knows exactly what happened in the boardroom earlier today. Don't feel too bad, Lil, he says, his voice dripping with fake sympathy. Business isn't for everyone. Maybe once my new division grows, I can find a spot for you to assist me. You're great at organizing schedules and taking notes. My father laughs lightly, a sound that cuts through me like a blade. She's better behind the scenes, Brandon. Let's not push her into the spotlight where she'll just freeze up. I nod politely and take a sip of water. I don't argue. I didn't tell them that while Brandon was closing his tiny deal, I was finalizing a partnership with a global logistics firm. Behind the scenes is exactly where I built the empire they are about to depend on. I leave the mansion as soon as I can and drive back to my small apartment. It doesn't look like much from the outside, but inside, it is a command center. One wall is covered in white boards filled with complex code and flowcharts. My laptop is humming, connected to servers across 3 continents. This is the birthplace of AURORA Systems. This isn't just a cute idea, it is a sophisticated tech infrastructure that automates corporate logistics in a way no one else has managed. My business partner, Leo Vance, is waiting for me on a video call. Leo is the only person who knows the truth about who I am and what I've built. He doesn't care about my last name, he only cares about the brilliance of the code. Lillian, you need to see this, Leo says, his eyes wide behind his glasses. He shares his screen, showing the latest queue of companies requesting partnership access to our platform. My heart skips a beat. At the very top of the list is Hayes International, my father's company. They just submitted their application for the Tier 1 tech infrastructure package, Leo explains. I stare at the screen in disbelief. They are applying to use my platform to save their failing logistics wing. They are desperate for the very technology my father called uninvestable just 8 hours ago. They have no idea that the LH listed as the primary architect in the legal fine print is the daughter they just mocked over dinner. For the next few days, I will monitor the Hayes International application. They are struggling. Their internal systems are old and crashing, and they are losing millions in delayed shipments. My father's company needs AURORA Systems like a drowning man needs a life vest. Leo watches me as I review their file. What do you want to do? He asks. We could reject them. We could make them wait in line for months. It would be easy. I look at the data. I see the technical gaps in their infrastructure. I see exactly how my code will fix their problems and make them profitable again. It would be petty to say no, and I am not a petty person. I am a businesswoman. I'm the final decision maker, right? I ask, even though I already know the answer. I have total control over the AURORA algorithm. I move my cursor over the approve button. I don't hesitate. I clicked it. The system immediately begins the integration process, sending the first wave of AURORA's logic into the Hayes International servers. Leo raises an eyebrow, looking a bit surprised by my speed. You're letting them in just like that? After the way they treated you? He asks. I lean back in my chair and watch the data streams turn from red to green. They're already in, Leo, I reply quietly. They just don't know who owns the house they're moving into yet. A week later, the first virtual briefing takes place. This is a high-level meeting where AURORA's lead strategist explains the system integration to the client's executive team. My father and Brandon are both on the call. I make sure my camera is turned off and my profile name is simply listed as lead strategist. I use a high-quality microphone filter to make my voice sound slightly deeper and more professional, but I don't think they would recognize my business voice anyway. They've never heard me speak with this much authority. I walk them through the efficiency gains and the cost-saving measures the system has already implemented in just 7 days. My father sounds impressed. It's a tone of voice he has never used with me. This is remarkable work, Richard Hayes says through the speakers. The logic behind this automation is flawless. If only our own consultants were this sharp, we wouldn't have been in this mess to begin with. Whoever designed this is a true visionary. I have to hit the mute button before I respond because I'm tempted to laugh. I feel a strange mixture of pride and sadness. He loves my mind when it's hidden behind a corporate logo, but he hates it when it's attached to his daughter. I clear my throat and give a brief, professional closing statement before ending the call. After the meeting, I sit in the dark for a long time, thinking about why I feel this way. I remember being 10 years old and sitting on the floor of my father's office. I had a notebook and was trying to draw a map of how his delivery trucks could move faster. I wanted him to notice me. He was busy teaching Brandon about interest rates and profit margins. Brandon was bored and kept looking out the window, but my father kept pushing him. When I finally showed my father my map, he didn't even really look at it. He patted me on the head without making eye contact. You're very analytical, Lillian, he had said. At the time, I thought it was a compliment. It took me years to realize it was actually a label he used to dismiss me. To him, being analytical meant I was a human calculator, someone who could handle the small details while real leaders like him and Brandon handled the big picture. It was a label he assigned when he didn't expect greatness from someone. He thought I was a tool to be used, not a force to be reckoned with. I learned to build quietly after that day. I stopped asking for his approval and started building a world where his approval wouldn't matter anymore. I took that label and turned it into an empire. The next few months are a blur of growth. AURORA Systems isn't just a success, it's an explosion. We are being called the fastest-growing tech startup of the decade. Our valuation crosses the $300 million mark, and investors are banging on our door. Leo keeps telling me that I should step into the spotlight. He wants me to do the magazine covers and the keynote speeches. The world needs to see the woman behind the curtain, Lillian, he argues. You've built something incredible. Why are you still hiding? He thinks I'm afraid, but he doesn't understand the power of being invisible. I refuse every interview. I don't need applause to build an empire, Leo, I tell him. There is a certain power in knowing that my father is currently praising my work every single day in his own office without knowing it's mine. I enjoy the irony of it. I am the silent partner in his success, the ghost in his machine. If I reveal myself now, it becomes a family drama. If I stay hidden, it remains a business masterpiece. I want the work to speak for itself. I want the system to be so essential to him that by the time he finds out the truth, he can't afford to walk away. While Aurora is soaring, Hayes International is struggling in other areas. My father has overextended himself in several real estate deals that Brendan was supposed to manage. They are bleeding cash, and the only thing keeping them afloat is the efficiency of the tech infrastructure I provided. If Aurora went offline for even 24 hours, my father's company would collapse into bankruptcy. Brendan, of course, doesn't see it that way. In the board meetings I listen in on, he complains about unstable infrastructure whenever he makes a mistake. He tries to blame the software for his own poor planning. I don't let it happen. Whenever Brendan creates a bottleneck or misses a shipment deadline, I personally go into the code at 2 in the morning and fix the issues. I reroute the logistics and balance the ledgers so the company looks perfect by sunrise. They think it's just luck or the system being smart. They have no idea it's me sitting in my pajamas with a cup of coffee, saving their lives night after night. My father thinks he is a genius for hiring Aurora. Brendan thinks he is a hero for managing the transition. Neither of them realizes they are being carried on the back of the person they called worthless. Small cracks start to appear in my cover. My brother Brendan is lazy, but he isn't completely stupid. He starts noticing certain patterns in the system's logs. Every time a major repair is made or a new patch is uploaded, it's signed by a user with the initials LH. He brings it up during a weekly status meeting. Who is this LH guy? Brendan jokes, leaning back in his chair. He's always working in the middle of the night. Probably some overpaid consultant with no social life. We should find out who he is and see if we can hire him away from Aurora. My father doesn't question it. To him, LH is just a string of characters on a screen. He doesn't even think about the fact that those are his daughter's initials. Why would he? In his mind, Lillian is at home reading a book or working some low-level administrative job. However, I notice something linger in his expression for a second, a tiny flash of recognition that he can't quite place. It passes quickly, and he goes back to discussing the quarterly profits. He is so close to the truth, yet his own arrogance keeps him miles away from it. I just sit there on the muted call, watching his face through the screen. There is a private investor gala in the city, and for the first time, I decided to attend. I don't go as Lillian Hayes, the daughter. I go as an anonymous high-level investor representing a private equity firm. I wear a dress I bought with my own earnings, not the allowance my father used to give me. I have my hair done differently, and I carry myself with a confidence I never had in that boardroom. My father is there, of course, trying to network with the big players. He doesn't even recognize me at first when we are standing in the same circle. He starts talking to a group of people about the mysterious founder of Aurora. He is full of praise. Whoever this person is, they have a mind for scale that I haven't seen in 30 years, he says, holding a glass of champagne. If only I could meet them. I'd love to show them how a real legacy company operates. We could do great things together. I am standing 5 feet away from him, listening to him talk about me as if I am a god. He looks right at me and offers a polite, generic smile, the kind you give a stranger at a party. He doesn't see his own blood. He only sees another person in the room. The following Monday, my father's executive assistant sends an urgent message to our portal. My father wants to move into a massive international expansion, but Aurora's security protocols require a full financial audit of any company moving to that level. I send a message back through the system. The founder will personally review the full financials of Hayes International before approval. My father's assistant replies within minutes, saying that Mr. Hayes is more than happy to comply. My father even adds a note to the file. I appreciate the hands-on approach. It's good to see at least some people in this industry are competent. I spent the entire night going through his files. It's a mess. Brendan has been hiding losses in offshore accounts, and my father has been taking massive personal loans to keep the company's stock price high. They aren't just struggling, they are on the edge of a cliff. If I don't approve this expansion, they won't get the new credit lines they need, and the whole thing will come crashing down. I look at the approve button. My finger hovers over it. I could end it all right now. But I don't. I approve his file within minutes. I want him to get exactly what he asked for. I want him to be fully invested in my world. As the expansion begins, a new legal hurdle appears. The AURORA Charter has a dual founder signature clause for any international mergers. This means that for my father to finalize his big deal, he needs a physical signature from the founder of AURORA. Until that signature is on the paper, his entire expansion is stalled. Millions of dollars are sitting in escrow, and the interest is eating his company alive. Brandon starts to panic. I can hear it in the emails he sends. Who is blocking us? We've met all the requirements. Just give us the signature, he writes. They call our office every hour. They offer more money. They offer board seats. They are desperate. They have no idea that the person they are chasing is the same person they told to stay behind the scenes. I tell Leo to keep them waiting. Tell them the founder is traveling, I say. Tell them the founder is busy with other acquisitions. I want them to feel the weight of that missing signature. I want them to realize that their entire future, everything my father built over 40 years, is currently hanging on the tip of a pen held by a person they didn't think was worth a second look. The stress finally breaks my father's composure. He calls an emergency board meeting, and for the first time, he sounds truly frustrated. The calm, sharp man from the boardroom is gone. In his place is a man who realizes he is no longer in control. This AURORA company is either brilliant, or they are intentionally sabotaging us, he shouts during the virtual call. We are losing $50,000 an hour because of this LH, a person won't sign a piece of paper. Does anyone even know who this is? Is it a competitor? Is it a ghost? I sit in silence on the call, my camera off as usual. I watch him pace back and forth in his office. He looks older than he did 8 months ago. His hair is thinner, and his skin is pale. Brandon is sitting in the corner, looking terrified. He knows that if this deal fails, my father will blame him for the financial mess that led them here. My father never realizes I'm watching him. He never thinks to look at the lead strategist icon on his screen and wonder who is actually behind it. He is screaming at the very person he told to go work in the filing department. As I watch him, a memory flashes in my mind. It was 3 years ago, at my college graduation. I had graduated top of my class with a degree in computer science and business. I had shown him my very first prototype of what would become AURORA. I remember the exact words he said to me while we were standing on the campus lawn. This is cute, Lillian. It's a nice little project. But it's not scalable. Business is about more than just pretty code, it's about power and presence. You don't have that. He didn't even keep the business card I gave him. He dropped it on the grass. That word, scalable, had shaped everything I did after that. He thought I was small. He thought my ideas were tiny. So I decided to build something so big it would swallow his world whole. I scaled it until it became the atmosphere his company breathes. I scaled it until my signature became the only currency that mattered to him. I realize now that he didn't reject my business plan that day in the boardroom because it was bad. He rejected it because it came from me. He couldn't imagine a world where I was the one holding the power. The next morning, an official proposal arrives in my inbox. Hayes International wants to begin acquisition talks with Aurora. My father realizes he can't beat the system, so he wants to buy it. He wants to bring Aurora under his control so he never has to wait for a signature again. He is offering a massive amount of money, more money than I could ever spend. He thinks he is making a power move. He doesn't realize he is negotiating with his own daughter. He doesn't realize he is trying to buy the very thing he said wasn't worth a single cent of his investment. Leo looks at me through the screen of our daily briefing. He looks excited. Lillian, this is it. This is the ultimate win. You can sell it, take the hundreds of millions, and walk away. You'll be the youngest self-made billionaire in the country. This is your moment. I look at the proposal. It's signed by Richard Hayes. I think about the look on his face when he finds out. I think about the silence that will follow. I don't care about the money. I already have enough of that. I care about the truth. I'm not selling, Leo, I say. But I will take the meeting. Face to face. The news of a face-to-face meeting with the founder of Aurora sends waves through Hayes International. But then, a leaked document from the legal filing starts to circulate in their office. It's a small piece of paper, a tax form that wasn't properly redacted. It shows the founder's initials, LH, and a partial address that looks very familiar. Brandon is the one who finds it. He starts digging through the old company archives, looking for anything that matches. He jokes about it at first. LH, maybe it's Larry Higgins from accounting, he says. But his voice lacks the usual confidence. He starts to look worried. He spends all night in the records room. He is looking for Lillian Hayes, but he is telling himself he won't find anything. He is looking for a reason to prove it isn't me. He remembers all the times I was working late or busy with a project. He remembers how I never asked him for money anymore. He remembers how I stopped coming to Sunday dinners. The clues were always there, hidden in plain sight. He just never cared enough to look until his own life was on the line. It happens on a Tuesday afternoon. Brandon is in the deep archives, looking at the original incorporation files for AURORA Systems. He finally hits the paywall and uses a high-end search tool to bypass the privacy filters. The screen flickers, then loads the full name of the primary shareholder and CEO. The name appears in bold, black letters, Lillian Hayes. Brandon stops breathing for a second. The coffee cup in his hand trembles. He stares at the name as if it's a death warrant. He checks the social security number. It's mine. His expression changes instantly from confusion to pure, unadulterated shock. He sinks into his chair, the reality hitting him like a physical blow. His little sister, the one who is better behind the scenes, the one who is not a leader, is the owner of the most powerful tech company in the city. She is the one who has been saving his skin for months. She is the one he has been begging for a signature. She built this, he whispers to the empty room. He looks at his own hands, realizing how small his potential actually looks compared to what I've done. Brandon doesn't go to my father right away. He comes to my apartment. He doesn't call, he just shows up and bangs on the door until I open it. When I do, he looks like he's seen a ghost. He is holding a printout of the incorporation papers. "You're Aurora?" he asks, his voice cracking. He looks around my apartment, seeing the white boards and the servers for the first time. He sees the lead strategist headset sitting on the table. He sees the life I've been living while they were busy laughing at me. I don't deny it. I don't even look surprised. I just step back and let him in. "Hello, Brandon," I say calmly. I go to the kitchen and pour myself a glass of water. He follows me, waving the papers in the air. "How? When did you do this? Why didn't you tell us?" he asks, his voice rising in pitch. I turn to look at him. "Why would I tell you? So Dad could tell me it wasn't scalable?" So you could ask if I wanted a job taking notes for you? I ask. His voice drops to a whisper. Dad doesn't know, does he? I shake my head. No. And he's about to meet the founder in 2 hours. Brendan tries to convince me to stay home. He tries to tell me that this will kill our father, that the shock will be too much. But I can see the real reason in his eyes. He's afraid of what happens to him once the truth is out. If I am the boss, he is nothing. He goes back to the office and tries to tell my father something vague. Dad, maybe we should reconsider the meeting. Maybe we should just send a lawyer, Brendan stammers. My father just laughs it off, thinking Brendan is just being nervous about the big deal. Nonsense, my father says, straightening his tie. I want to look this person in the eye when I buy their company. I want them to know who Richard Hayes is. Brendan tries again. What if the founder is Lillian? My father stops for a second, then bursts into a loud, genuine laugh. Lillian? Impossible. She doesn't have the stomach for this level of business, son. Don't be ridiculous. But for the first time, a tiny seed of doubt starts forming in his mind. He remembers the LH signatures. He remembers the gala. The smile on his face falters just a little bit. The meeting is set for 4 p.m. in the Hayes International Boardroom, the same room where this all started 8 months ago. My father is sitting at the head of the table, surrounded by his top executives. He has the acquisition papers ready. He has a pen waiting. He checks his watch every 30 seconds. He is an urgent man who wants answers. He wants his signature so he can move on with his life. He has no idea that the answers are currently walking down the hallway toward him. Leo texts me one last time, "You're going in?" This is it. No turning back. I look at the message and tuck my phone into my pocket. I am wearing a sharp, tailored suit. I am carrying a leather folder that contains the same business plan I showed him months ago, but this time, it has the AURORA success metrics attached to it. I take a deep breath and push open the double doors. Yes, I reply to the text in my head. I'm going in. I walk into the room, and the sound of my heels on the hardwood floor is the only noise. My father doesn't look up at first, he is busy reading a memo. You're late, he says, his voice gruff and impatient. Sit down. We have a lot to discuss. I just need the founder's signature on the merger agreement so we can stop this nonsense and get back to work. He finally looks up, expecting to see a tall, older man in an expensive suit. He is expecting a visionary. I don't sit down. I walk to the end of the table and place my folder down. I open it slowly, moving with a deliberate calm that I've practiced for months. My father stares at me, his mouth slightly open. He looks behind me, expecting someone else to walk in. He looks at Brendan, who is sitting at the side of the room with his head in his hands. Then, he looks back at me. Our eyes meet, and for the first time in my life, he is the one who looks small. The recognition hits him like a lightning bolt. The silence in the room is heavy and suffocating. No one moves. The executives look confused, glancing back and forth between me and my father. My father's face goes through a dozen emotions in 5 seconds: confusion, disbelief, anger, and finally, a crushing sense of shock. His hands, which were so steady when he rejected me, are now shaking slightly on top of the mahogany table. He tries to speak, but his voice breaks. It's a small, fragile sound that doesn't belong in a boardroom. Lillian, he finally whispers. He says my name like it's a word in a foreign language he doesn't understand. I don't smile. I don't gloat. I just stand there, tall and steady. I nod my head once. Yes, Father, I say. My voice is clear and carries to every corner of the room. I'm the founder of AURORA Systems. I'm the person you've been trying to buy for 3 months. I'm the person whose signature you need to save your company. The executives gasp, and the room erupts into a low murmur of shock. Everything starts to click for him now. He remembers the initial proposal. He remembers the way the system seemed to know exactly how to fix his company's problems. He remembers the LH signatures he ignored. The truth lands with the weight of a mountain. "You built this?" he asks again, his voice gaining a bit of strength but still sounding hollow. "Under our noses?" While I was. He can't even finish the sentence. He is thinking about the night he told me I wasn't worth investing in. I lean forward, resting my hands on the table. "Yes. I built it," I reply. "I built it because you told me I wasn't worth investing in. I built it because you said I was an observer. I built it because you thought I wasn't scalable. I took your rejection and I turned it into the very thing that is currently keeping your lights on." He has no answer for that. He looks down at the acquisition papers, the ones that would give him control over my company. He realizes now how insulting those papers actually are. For the first time in my entire life, my father's tone softens. He doesn't look like a titan of industry anymore, he looks like a man who has lost his way. He looks at me with a mixture of fear and a strange, new kind of respect. "Lillian, we need your signature," he says quietly. "The expansion, the loans. If you don't sign that dual founder agreement, everything I've built for 40 years will be gone by the end of the month. Please. For the family." The irony hangs heavy in the air, thick enough to choke on. The man who rejected me as a daughter and as a partner is now asking me to save him. He is using the word family as a shield, even though he didn't treat me like family when I was asking for his help. I look at the document sitting in front of me. This is the moment I've dreamed of, but it doesn't feel the way I thought it would. I don't feel happy, I just feel powerful. I didn't answer him immediately. I let the silence stretch until he is visibly sweating. I pick up the pen. It's a heavy, gold pen that belongs to his company. I signed the document. I do it slowly and deliberately, my signature flowing across the page in a bold, dark line. Then, I slide the document back across the table to him. "You always said I wasn't worth investing in," I say quietly, my voice steady. He lowers his head, unable to look me in the eye. The boardroom is silent as I stand up and gather my things. "You were wrong about what I was worth, Father," I say as I reach the door. "I'm not selling Aurora. I'm not joining your board. I'm going to continue building my empire, and from now on, you will pay the market rate for my services, just like every other client." I walk out of that room, not as his daughter, and not as an observer. I walk out as the one who decides whether his company survives tomorrow. As I step into the elevator, I realize I don't need his investment anymore. I never did. I was always enough.